Welcome to our 243rd weekly webcast. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. So the way this call works is this is an AMA, like you see on Reddit, meaning ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, career questions, investing questions, etc. And my humble goal is to help you take your career or your investment portfolio, etc., to the next level. Now, we've got a special webcast today. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to answer all of your questions. Then what I'll do is I'll bring on one of my Platinum MBA graduates, Maren Starts, to talk about her startup. She's done some incredible things. And Maren is also the person that I'm partnering with to build our next school, which is going to be in Kenya. It's going to be an all-girls school, and we're working hard on that. One more housekeeping announcement before I get to your questions here, and thank you. Please keep typing them. I'm partnering with Luca Anderson again, to create the complete Python course. And as part of that, there'll be a free book, the complete Python book that will come out later this year. Recall, Luca is also the genius person I partnered with to make the complete artificial intelligence book and the complete artificial intelligence course. Okay, let me get to your questions and thank you. So last night, I got a question from Klaus who wrote, "Hi, Chris. Hey, Klaus, I just finished your MBA course on Udemy, and I loved it. Thank you." You wrote, "In the course, you said that companies want to pay accounts payable as late as possible. Why is this?" Yeah. So you always need to think of yourself as a bank and pay your debts as late as possible, as long as you're not paying any penalties. And so retail companies would go bankrupt if they didn't pay their debts as late as possible. And what this means is this, with a simplistic example. Let's assume that interest rates are 12%. And instead of paying back your debt on the first day of each month, you wait till the last day of each month. Well, you'd save 1% per month, which means 12% per year. And so large retail companies do this. They pay their debts back as late as possible without incurring fees, of course. They do this because their profit margins are razor thin, and it's hard for them to compete with companies like Amazon or Walmart, where profit margins can be 1%, 2%, or 3%. So the bottom line is you've got to think like a bank and pay back all your debts as late as possible, especially when interest rates continue to rise, as long as you don't incur fees. Okay. All right, my next question here is from App Singh, who wrote, "Do you have any suggestions for life beyond 55 when no opportunities knock?" Thank you. Yeah, well, a couple things. Number one, the average life expectancy globally is 26 years higher today than it was in the 1950s. So you're not 55, you're really 29. Secondly, opportunities never come to us. And as I was reading this question, I pulled out a poster of my favorite actor and a great quote. His name is Kyle Chandler. Let me see if I can tee this up here. He said, "Opportunity does not knock. It presents itself when you beat down the door." So you got to go out and make your own opportunities. And every time you see a job opening online, your chances of getting that job are literally 1 out of 250. So who gets that job? Well, it's usually somebody that knows somebody at the company. So from an opportunity knocking perspective, we have to do that. We have to network to get to know people at companies we want to work at. Step 1, create an incredible LinkedIn profile. Step 2, send out lots of in-mails, because everybody reads in-mails. Nobody reads emails. Send lots of in-mails over LinkedIn to people you have something in common with, requesting informational meetings. So if you want to work at Google, what you can do, and I presented recently actually in Rwanda in the school we built to the students, and I was explaining to them, and I showed them a real life demo in real time, that there's over 200 people that work at Google that are from Rwanda. You could search LinkedIn for this. So if you're in Rwanda, for example, and you want to work at Google, you can send a LinkedIn message to somebody that works at Google that's also from Rwanda or went to school in Rwanda, and say something like this. I'm going to make up the script. "John, hope all is well. I'm also from Rwanda. Please let me know if you have time for a quick Zoom call. Thanks a lot, Chris." You don't say why you want to meet or why you want to speak. You just basically, you send that message. And most likely they're going to say yes. think about it this way. You're probably thinking, Chris, you're on crack. There's no way they're going to say yes. Well, think about it in terms of, imagine if somebody 20 years younger than you reaches out to you and they have a couple things in common with you and they ask for a Zoom meeting and you get this message and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this person reminds me a lot of myself. I'll take that meeting and help them. Do that 20 times. Rinse, lather, repeat with any company you want to work at. And I promise you, eventually, the harder you work, the luckier you'll get. You only have to be right in business one time. In that meeting, I want you to bond first. You always want to bond before business. Talk about what you have in common with them. And if you're not sure what to bond about, what you can do is go to their Twitter profile to see who they follow. If they follow, I don't know, athletes in a certain sport you love, you can talk about that. Then about 10 minutes into that informational meeting, they're very politely going to say to you, why are we meeting? They won't say it like that. And this is where you mention you're interested in a career at their company. And you ask them if they know anybody that might be hiring that also has a similar background to us at that company. Last thing I'll say on this topic is for more details on this, on how to network to get a meeting with anybody, you can go to my website, which is HarounMBA.com. Scroll down and download this networking book for free. Yeah. Opportunity does not, you gotta bang down the door, as Kyle Chandler said. Okay. I'm in my 50s too. I'm with you. Yeah. Okay, next up, hey Ted, how are you? Ted wrote, hi Chris, greetings. Good to see you. And then you wrote, tell me Chris, why is it so cheap to throw a party at a haunted house? Because the ghosts bring all the booze. Okay. I like that. I like that joke. It's good dad humor. Great dad humor, actually. And if you ever meet me in real life, I'm a really tiny person. I'm a small man. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Raheel wrote, hey, Chris, where can I learn global macro currency trading from beginner level to advanced? Yeah. I'll tell you the best places in a second, but let me preface that with, please don't trade. Because when you're trading, the markets are only open 20 days per month. That's 20 weekdays. And stocks or any fixed income security or FX security goes up and down for reasons outside of our control. Like there might be saber rattling between two superpowers that drives currencies or the market up or down. It's tough to do. Now, in terms of how to learn about FX, I wouldn't read any textbooks. What I would do is I would go to ft.com, that's the financialtimes.com, and read every single article you see that talks about macroeconomics. You can also read the Wall Street Journal, go to wsj.com, that's a little bit more US-centric. The FT is more global in nature. You can also read The Economist if it doesn't put you to sleep. I used to read it, but the words are like -20 font. And that might help you as well. There's no textbook that will teach you this stuff. Okay. All right. Next question is, do we need to know a lot of economics for global macro investing, like a degree in economics? Absolutely not. And one of the problems with business school or economics that you learn in university is they teach you theoretical stuff like supply and demand graphs, which nobody uses in the real world unless you're an economist. Okay. And if you don't have time to read the newspaper or any publication online, you can always do what I do, which is this every morning when I'm getting ready. Alexa, what's the Wall Street Journal news?
From the Wall Street Journal.
Alexa, stop. And so that's like 5 minutes summary of all the business news you need to know daily, including macroeconomic stuff. If you ask Alexa to tell you the news this morning, she'll talk a lot about China and the trade issues they've been having lately, which is macroeconomic. And you can learn by listening, and it's fun too. Okay. Next up, and by the way, when Maren Starts comes on to talk about her skincare company, when I interview her later on, you can also ask questions as well. Okay, I'll bring her on to Zoom soon after I get through your questions. Okay, Hamza wrote, hi, Chris. Thank you for doing this weekly and giving us time out of your busy schedule. My pleasure. I'm always happy to just thank you for coming. I do what I love doing. You wrote, how do you take action when you're not sure where exactly to start? Yeah. So most people give up on their New Year's resolutions by the third week of January. And I'm gonna get a schedule to show you that you can use. And so the reason people give up on their New Year's resolutions by the third week of January is because they don't set a deadline date and they don't write down their goals. And so in my MBA degree program, which you can learn more about on my website, HarounMBA.com, in the first couple of classes, I teach you how to accomplish way, way more in a small amount of time. And the simple secret is this, and you don't have to sign up for my program to use what I'm showing you here. You write down all of your goals and you set deadline dates and you schedule each day the day before. Okay, so get a piece of paper, schedule everything you're going to do the next day the day before. Okay, do this during weekdays. And what you also want to do is you want to vocalize your goals. You want to tell your friends what your goals are if you trust people, if it's not something like going to another company or whatever. And if you tell people your goals and you set a deadline date, then it's going to put pressure on you. And I say it with love my heart to get these goals done. For example, I was writing this book years ago and I told my family about it. And, every Thanksgiving, my mom would say, so Chich, that's her nickname for me, how's your book going? And I was like, oh God, I got to finish this. And so what I did, thank you, Mom. What I did was I said, okay, I'm going to publish this book by November of 2015. So I set a deadline date. I vocalized my goals to get it done. Write down your goals and set deadline dates. Yeah. And if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. Always, yeah. Now, if you want to get a smaller version of this, you can go to my website to download it. It's a little bit more basic than this one. Go to harounmba.com/ all lowercase schedule. Okay. Okay, and Andre, thank you so much for that $20 donation. God bless you. That will go directly to Project Magoo, where we're building schools in Africa. Again, we finished our Rwanda one recently, and we're building our next one in Kenya with Maren Starts, who's coming on the call soon. Thank you for that. God bless you. So Andre wrote, good morning. Good morning to you too. Can you explain how the Federal Reserve rate works and affects the average person worldwide? Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to use a prompt like I usually do. So what happens is the Federal Reserve is like the manager of the store of money, okay, in the United States. In different countries, it's usually called the Bank of something, like the Bank of England or the Bank of Canada. In Europe, it's also the ECB, European Central Union, and Central Bank. In Japan, it's the MOF, Minister of Finance. So what happens is the Federal Reserve, they can buy and sell bonds, okay, and there's money in this gun, okay. So for example, let's say that the Federal Reserve wants to change interest rates and you own government bonds. Okay. What I as a Federal Reserve will do is I'll buy the bonds back from you. Okay. So I give you cash. I flood the system with cash. This is fake money. I give you cash and I buy back that bond. So what happens now is there's more money out there. And we know that whenever the supply of anything increases, the price goes down. So the more money that's out there, the lower the interest rates. Okay, and what they do is they actually do these bond transactions with the banks, and then the banks lend money to us at different rates. Now, the opposite would occur if I wanted interest rates to go up. What I would do is I would sell more bonds. So you buy, I'm the government. You buy bonds, you give me your money, it goes back in the gun. There's less money out there now. Less money means higher price of money, higher interest rates. And so what's fiscally prudent to do, the fiscally responsible thing to do is when times are good, government should raise interest rates. They have to. Otherwise, when times are bad, they cannot cut rates. And this is what happened during the pandemic. Rates were already pretty low. They were too low. And so the government, cut interest rates to zero. And there's no bullets left in the gun, so to speak, to jumpstart the economy. Yeah. All right. Next up, Movid wrote, hi, Chris, how are you? I'm always great. Always good to see you, and thank you. And then Matrix wrote, love your option trading course, sir. Love from India. Thank you. And thank you for the emoji. Namaste. God bless you. Appreciate that. Maren, how are you, Maren? And Maren, what I'll do is I'll bring you on to Zoom soon. And Maren, if you want, what you can do is join Zoom right now. And then once I go through a couple more questions, I'll bring you on to Zoom. to ask you questions about Skin Belle, your incredible startup. Thank you. And thank you for the LinkedIn post this morning. I just saw that. Thanks. Okay. Next question is from Movid, which is, please tell us the roadmap to the hedge fund industry. Yeah. Provide me more details, if you don't mind, in terms of roadmap. Do you mean, how does the hedge fund industry work? How do you get a job in the hedge fund industry? How do they invest in the hedge fund industry, etc.? Thanks. And the most successful hedge funds are very long-term focused as well. They're not day traders. Thank you. Next question is from DF, who wrote, Chris, how do you stay humble? Oh, thank you for that. I just being Canadian, I guess it's kind of embedded in the DNA subfabric of who we are. My parents are very humble as well. Yeah. Thank you, though. And then Andre wrote, where can I purchase the books you're holding up? Yeah, you don't have to purchase these. These books, well, you can buy this one on Amazon, but these ones here, they're free in my courses, right? So if you sign up for my MBA degree program, you get all my electives for free, or you can buy just the individual courses. Yeah, thank you. Okay. And Andre, thanks again for that donation. And DF, God bless you for that comment. Thank you. Okay. Next up, Caroline wrote, good morning, Chris. Good morning. Looking forward to seeing you today at 10 a.m. on the silver call when we do the Zoom. And then Movid wrote, what are the requirements to join the asset management company or private equity firm? Yeah. There's no requirements, really. Sometimes people will do an undergraduate degree focused on finance or business, or they'll just network like crazy to get a great job at an asset management firm. But there are no requirements. And there are people that work at asset management firms that don't have university degrees. What I recommend that you do if you want to get a job at an asset management firm like Fidelity, for example, in Boston, big mutual fund, is do an advanced search in LinkedIn and find people that work at Fidelity that have something in common with you. Maybe they went to the same high school, undergrad, maybe they're from the same hometown, etc., and set up lots of informational meetings, as I mentioned earlier. And what you can also do is you can send them lots of templates in terms of your investment write-ups. And in my MBA degree program, I provide you with all the templates you need. Okay. Next up, Movid wrote, what's the difference between trading and hedge funds? Yeah. So trading is very short-term focused, where you look at technical analysis, like if a stock is overbought or oversold, or if the RSI is high or low, etc. You look at moving averages too. But trading is random. And I don't recommend that you look at technical analysis until after you've analyzed the fundamentals and valuations of a particular company. Now, there are no successful traders out there. Otherwise, we know their names. They don't exist. And the worst thing that can happen to you if you go into a casino for the first time is you make a lot of money on your first bet because you'll think it's repeatable. And that's a commensurate analogy to the worst thing that can happen to you from an investing perspective is you start trading, you make money the first time because it's not repeatable. You'll be fooled by randomness. Again, stocks go up and down in a short amount of time for random reasons. So the most successful hedge funds are actually longer term focused. Many of them think like they have a 3 to 5 year time horizon for investments. Do they hold those positions that long? Usually not, but they think long term. And as Warren Buffett said, the longer the view, the wiser the intention. And I don't recommend valuing companies based on PE, price earnings this year or next year. I recommend creating your own financial statements, and I teach you how to do this in my courses, and value companies based on your earnings estimates in 5 or 10 years. That way you won't be scared by high valuations in the short term. I'll give you a couple of examples. When I worked in the hedge fund industry, I was long, meaning I owned LinkedIn when it was still publicly traded, and Amazon. And my friends in the industry would say, Chris, you're crazy. Those stocks are trading at over 100 times earnings. Those are widowmakers. Kind of an unfortunate thing to say. And I said, no, they're not trading at over 100 times. They're trading at 4 times my earnings estimates in 5 years. And that will help you stomach the volatility as well. Always think longer term when you value companies. Yeah. Okay. Okay, next up, we got Alex P. from Utah. Good to see you. You wrote, Chris, I just want to make it clear that your aerodynamic nose will not beat me on the ski slopes in Utah. Thank you for that. And I mentioned that I think it was last week. I mentioned my nose is massive, and nobody can beat me in skiing or in running or in cycling because this thing is aerodynamic. And when the pandemic was awful back 2020, you know, I'd wear this, and I would get more people checking me out. Like, women usually don't look at me, you know, because they couldn't see this. And my eyes are okay, I guess, kind of greenish, thanks to my Irish grandmother. But the second I take this off, they'd be like, oh, look at that guy. He's so ugly. Yeah. By the way, I'm starting to notice here in the Bay Area, at least, and let me know if you guys see this globally, that a lot more people are starting to wear masks. I've just started to notice it a lot more in the gym, etc. Yeah. Okay. You can't laugh at yourself. What can you laugh at? Yeah. Okay. Next up, Movid wrote, thank you so much for spending your valuable time for answering my questions. You're most welcome. Thank you so much for coming as well. I appreciate it. And Icy, thank you so much for that $15 Australian donation. God bless you. Again, this will go to Project Magoo, which is why I do what I do. I do what I do just to provide scholarships and build schools. Gives me a sense of purpose. Thank you for that. God bless you. And Icy's question is, hi, Chris. I passed 2 rounds of interview for an IT position at a Netflix-owned company. Awesome. However, I was rejected because my presence would be a threat to the cultural balance of the department. Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear that. I've been there before, man. I've been there where you're interviewing for a company and you might be overqualified or too good at what you do. So what you can do is this. If you're interviewing for a position where you might be a little bit more senior than others, you can always give the impression during the interview that you love doing skill X, whatever it is you're interviewing for, and you don't mind doing skill X for a long period of time. You're not interested in just getting promoted. You're passionate about skill X, and here's why. And that might make you a little bit less so coming across as a threat. Yeah, but I've been there, man. It sucks. And I remember I went through a ton of interviews years ago, and I couldn't get a job. And I prepared more than anybody for these interviews. And then what happened was I went to a couple of interviews, and I was so fed up. Right before the interview started, I told myself, you know what? I just don't care if I get this job. I don't care. And what happened was, I was very relaxed, and we talked about baseball in the interviews and just movies and stuff. And I got those jobs. And you got to tell yourself right before an interview starts that you don't care. I'm not saying be rude or disingenuous at all, but it takes a lot of pressure off you to just be yourself, because your friends and family and loved ones love you for who you are. So just be you. And also, right before you give a presentation or you do a live webcast like this, tell yourself, I don't really care what people think of me. It'll make you be more relaxed. And you know what? When you're up there presenting, if you make a mistake, people love you more because you're being you. So as Dr. Seuss said, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Be yourself because everybody else is taken. Okay. Thank you for that. All right. Next up, Durs wrote, hey, Chris, hope you and your family are doing well. Thank you. Likewise. My son, Andrew, he's back at Berkeley now. And my other child, Matthew, he's going to be going to university next year. They grow up so fast. And by the way, when your kids are, this is a sad statistic, and here are my kids when they're a lot younger, but by the time your child reaches the age of 12, you already spent 90% of the time you'll ever spend with them. Yeah. And what I'm doing now with my youngest one, and I'm creating a Python course, as y'all know, in order to explain Python.
Someone is at the front door.
Thank you. In order to explain Python in more detail, what I'm doing is I'm teaching it with Legos. And this here is a Titanic. And I built this with my son, Dylan, as well. almost 10,000 pieces. It's crazy. You guys will hear more about this during the Python course. Yeah, it's fun. Okay. We just got a new security system installed. I got to turn that notification off. Sorry about that. Okay. Next up, hey Manas, how are you? Manas wrote, good morning, my dear mentor. Hope all is well. I'm back at the Haroun Education Ventures Shrine. Sorry, last week. I'm now back. Lots to ask here. Always great to see you. Always great to see you. And I hope you're doing well, man. Yeah. Okay, next question is, please explain the bond trading. Yeah. So investing in bonds is similar to investing in stocks, right? It's just, think of a stock that has a dividend yield. Okay, so if you buy a stock like Coca-Cola, ticker KO, you'll get 2 or 3% per year in terms of a dividend. That's kind of what a bond is like, right? But you get coupons. And when bonds don't have dividends, meaning no coupons, those are called zero coupon bonds. And you buy them at a discount, and then they go up in value, hopefully, in the long run, to their par value. And I can explain that in more details if you want. Yeah. And that's the essence for how governments raise interest rates or cut interest rates. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, what are ETF? It could spare 6 minutes to explain as though I'm a... Yeah, sure. So the question is, what is an ETF? So an ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund, and they're much better investments than mutual funds. Mutual funds are a scam. So ETFs are basically a collection of stocks that represent an index or a theme. So for example, and I'll show this example to you live here as well. And then I'm going to show you the best source to do research on ETFs. So if we go here to Yahoo Finance and we type up the ticker for VOO, V-O-O, this here is an ETF made by a great company called Vanguard. And this represents the S&P 500, meaning the 500 stocks that make up the US markets. Now, if you go here to holdings, you'll see the breadth and depth of this ETF and the 12 sectors that represent the US economy. 28.8% of this ETF is technology stocks. For example, Apple, Microsoft, etc. NVIDIA now is a mega cap given ChatGPT and AI. And it's interesting because at the beginning of this year, this amount here, tech was 23% of the index, but tech stocks have done well this year. And so these are the 500 stocks that make up the US markets. Now, before you invest in any ETF, I want you to look at a couple of things. Okay. Number one, you want to look at the average volume. And you want to make sure that the volume is high so you can get in and out if need be. Don't ever buy or invest in stocks that are illiquid or any asset class. The next thing you look at is the expense rate. So you only pay 3 pennies for every $100 you invest in this ETF every year. The fees are 3 pennies, or 0.03%, I should say. Very, very, very low. So 3 pennies per $100 you invest. I'm butchering this one. Sorry. Now don't. I'm going to unplug Alexa. Sorry about that. Now don't ever invest in mutual funds because mutual fund fees are not 0.03%. They're usually 3 to 5%, including hidden fees, and you pay more in taxes as well. I can explain why if you want me to. Last thing I'll say in ETFs is if you want to do research on ETF, go to etfdb.com. That's etfdatabase.com. And you can invest in any geography except for Russia if you live in the United States. You can also invest in any other theme as well. So there's tons of ETFs by geography. If we go here to Brazil, if you want to invest in Brazil, but you don't want to buy stocks on the Bovespa, which is their index, their market, you can buy ticker EWZ. Now the fees are higher on this as well. It's 60 pennies almost per $100 you invest. And if you have additional questions on ETFs, please let me know and thank you. Okay. All right. Next up, Catherine wrote, hey, Chris. Hey, Catherine. What do you think will happen with the financial system if another Carrington event happens nowadays? And how long will it take to rebuild all the infrastructure? Excuse me for being ignorant. I don't know what the Carrington event is. If you want to explain what that is, then I'll answer the question. Thank you. Okay. All right. And if I was in an interview and somebody asked me a question that I couldn't answer, what I would do is this. I'm saying, I'm sorry, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. Thank you. You write it down, and then later on, when you send your thank you email later on that day, you say, thanks a lot for your time. I enjoyed our conversation. In terms of your question on the Carrington event, I did some research, and here are my humble thoughts. Yeah. Okay. Give me 1 second here. All right. Dewan wrote, hi, Chris. Thanks for your Excel course. I absolutely love the VBA part. Thank you. Thank you. And the best way to learn programming is through Excel. And the reason I say that is because in Excel, you can record what are called macros, which basically means it records what you do on the screen. So if you want to learn how to code, how to make a cell bold, what you do is you hit record, make the cell bold, hit stop record, and look at the code. Now, the way that I teach that is I use a lot of props, and it's object-oriented programming. And as the next step, what I'm doing, as I mentioned earlier, is I'm working really hard on the complete Python course with Luca Anderson. There's going to be a book version of it as well. Now, Microsoft recently announced that you can do Python in Excel. That's a huge deal, big deal, and it's easy to do, and we're going to teach about that in that Python course coming out later this year. Luca's flying to my studio here from Serbia to record it with me. He's a good guy, except he's like 8 million feet tall. I have to stand in a step stool. I'm 6 feet. He's like 6 foot a million. Yeah. Okay, next up, Manos wrote, rates are not coming down this year, maybe going up more, and markets have decided to consolidate. Now, I don't think it will go any higher. What are your thoughts? It all depends. It all depends. Now, Goldman Sachs the other day said that they think the probability of a recession within the next year in the United States is only 15%. At the beginning of this year, and recall I had Mahmoud, an economist, on my webcast here in May. Towards the beginning of this year, economists were saying there's a 50-50 chance by year end. But it looks like the U.S. consumer is resilient, at least when I look at the U.S. markets. Also, we've had a wealth effect occur. The markets are up a lot. This is one of the best years in decades for the U.S. markets. And when the markets go up a lot, it creates this wealth effect where people feel richer on paper. As a result, they spend more. And the whole world watches the U.S. consumer closely because the U.S. economy, as we know, is the largest economy in the world. And 2/3 of the U.S. economy is consumer spending. It's not big business. Yeah. So a recession doesn't look likely anymore. Will rates continue to go up? It depends. It all depends on inflation. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Next up, Dewan wrote, what are your thoughts about creating a business that helps other companies analyze their data using Excel? How would one go about marketing such a business? Yeah. A lot of people do consulting work with Excel this way. When I used to work in the consulting sector at Accenture, what I used to do is I would create applications using Excel and Visual Basic to the extent that you didn't know you were using Excel. Right? I minimized all the icons at the top. I created my own icons as well and created a dashboard. You could do it. Now, if you want to see if there's a market out there for this and what people charge, go to Upwork.com and do a search on Excel VBA dashboards. Yeah. In terms of marketing that, the best way to market yourself is to use YouTube. And I had a conference call yesterday morning with a friend of mine named Layla. And she creates the best Excel courses and the best Excel YouTube content. And I'll show you how she markets herself. She's amazing. She was giving me lots of advice. Excel Layla. So she's got a YouTube channel. Here she is right here. Layla Garani. So what she does is she markets herself by making YouTube videos on Excel. And she's passionate about Excel, and she's really good at explaining this stuff as well. Look at this. She's got 2.4 million subscribers. Unbelievable. And so what she'll do is she'll create incredible videos teaching you Excel. And then if you do a search on her, you can buy her courses on her website, which is Excel Plus. And she's got incredible courses on Excel here. So that's how she marketed herself. And the great thing about using social media is you're helping people as well. But if you're going to use social media, like I do as well, I'm not nearly as good as Layla. I'll never be good as Layla. She's amazing. But if you're going to use social media, market yourself. I recommend working smarter and not harder by repurposing your content. And the way that we repurpose content on my team, at my company, is based on the questions that everybody asks this week and every week. We repurpose that and we create other content. So we'll make TikTok videos or Instagram videos, etc. And this is something that Nintendo has been doing for decades. They've been working smarter, not harder, by repurposing their old content. It's a high profit margin business. So their 8-bit and 16-bit Mario games, they repurpose them and release them on new platforms like the Switch. Lots of rumors about the Switch 2 coming out next year too. Okay. It takes time though. Like if you're going to start doing YouTube, you got to be in it for the long run. You know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And a lot of people give up on social media, you know, after a couple of months. And your competition will, I promise you. You just got to stay in it for the long run. Be long-term focused. Yeah. And if you don't think long-term, you can't build a great business. Yeah. And it's one of the reasons why I spend so much money on my promotional trailers as well, because I'm very long-term focused on what I do. Yeah. And it's fun. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, how do mutual funds work? Peter Lynch is a great example of that in his book, why mutual funds exist, and how does a fund manager operate and is different from portfolio managers. Yeah, so a fund manager and a portfolio manager is the same thing. So the way that mutual funds operate, and Peter Lynch was the portfolio manager on the Magellan flagship fund for Fidelity, big mutual fund in Boston. So the way that mutual funds make money is they charge fees, ridiculously high fees, and most of them don't outperform ETFs. And the way that they're structured is there'll be a portfolio manager, also called a fund manager, like a Peter Lynch. And then you'll have a bunch of analysts that will report to him. You know, you might have like a video game analyst reporting to him. You might have a commodities analyst reporting to him as well. You might have a paper analyst reporting to him as well. And those analysts, what they do is they recommend stocks to the portfolio manager. And the portfolio manager tries to diversify the portfolio by, for example, not having more than 5% of their entire portfolio in any one stock, and not having more than, say, 20% of their portfolio in any one sector, like technology. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Durs wrote, how do you read stock markets like an experienced hedge fund manager? Please give some tips. Thank you. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So it's the best way to do it is to, and I'm going to show you one of my templates that I make available in my MBA degree program. So what I do, and I'm going to show you how I analyze stocks. What I do is I look at fundamentals, valuation, and then technical analysis, a distant third. And so this is one of the many templates or tools or arrows in your quiver that I have in my MBA degree program. That's me buying time while this opens. So what I like to do is I like to analyze 100 factors before I even consider investing in any one stock. And I don't invest unless I complete a report like this, kind of like you should never start a company until you create a business plan. So what comes out of this, and this is available to my MBA degree students, is 3 outputs. Okay, there's 100 steps to analyzing companies, and whatever information you enter in here will be part of the output. Output number 1 is right here, which is an investment dashboard, which shows you everything you need to know graphically about that company, right? So, and this is just dummy data in here. What also comes out of this is a 1-page executive summary, okay? And then you can hit, and this is just dummy data, but you can hit print, and it prints out a 1-pager, which has fundamentals, valuation, and technical analysis. And the third thing that comes out of this, or threeth, as my son Andrew used to say, is a detailed report, which is a 150-page report. Now, what I do is I ask you to go through all 100 steps in the MBA program and enter in all this detail about the companies, qualitative stuff, quantitative stuff, as well as your financial statements, you know, valuing the company, etc. And on every single one of these tabs here, and you'll see that technical analysis is right at the end. It's just only one tiny step. I've got a link to a YouTube video to explain each step in a lot more detail. Yeah. So that's my methodology. I recommend having a framework before even thinking about investing. And if you don't have time to do investment research on individual stocks, then I recommend just buying ETFs. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, Happy Teacher's Day. Thank you. You wrote, we celebrated on the 5th in India, so I thought of wishing you. Thank you. Because of you, I'm a teacher, and thank you for that always. We will build a school together in your name in India, definitely someday. Thank you. I'd love to build a school in India. And again, it is why I do what I do. It's all part of Project Magoo. And that rhymes. Yeah. Thank you. God bless you. Okay. Next up, Nathan wrote, when will your complete Python course be available? I'm in your AI course and it's awesome. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. So we're going to get the Python course out later this year. See, I vocalized a goal and I set a deadline date, so now I got to deliver. Yeah. And so Luca's going to fly here, I think once or twice later this year to record it. And again, this will be free as part of the course. Yeah. And by the way, earlier today I talked about repurposing content. So what I recommend doing if you record a course is you caption the entire course, and then you take the captions, you export it into a book. This way you repurpose content, you work smarter, not harder. Kind of like writing your book. And I recommend everybody write a book, and Manas has published multiple books. I have one of his actually. What I recommend you do, and this is what I did, is you publish one article to LinkedIn every week for 2 years. Then you have 104 chapters to put into a book. You're repurposing it. And this is how I got started. And then I turned each chapter into a vlog. And I turned each section into a course. And I turned all sections into an MBA program as well. And if you want to learn more about YouTube strategies or social media strategies, my father once told me, only take advice from successful people. So we're going to take advice together from Gary Vaynerchuk. I want you to do research on Gary Vaynerchuk. Just do a search for Gary V. And he's got this document called 86 Pages of Insanity, where he talks about how to create content and repurpose it. Take his advice, not mine. Okay. Next up, Fidel wrote, good morning, Chris. Good morning. Please explain the difference between venture capital and private equity. Absolutely. So venture capital and private equity charge the same fees. They make money the same way. They charge usually 2 and 20. What does that mean? Well, if you invest $100 with a venture capital firm or a private equity firm, every year $2 comes out. They get to keep it as a management fee. Then they get to keep 20% of the profits. So if you invest $100 in a private equity firm or venture capital firm, and that $100 doubles, so you make $100, they keep $20 of that. So that explains the fee structure of 2 and 20. Now, venture capital is basically investing in a startup, a tiny company, and hopefully it grows and goes public. Private equity also invests in private companies to make them as a turnaround, so to speak. So what a private equity firm might do, like KKR, for example, Henry Kravis's company, they might buy a company that is being mismanaged and fix it and sell it back at a higher price. And sometimes they buy private companies, and sometimes they buy public companies. And if you want to learn more about this from a case study perspective, there's a great book called Barbarians at the Gate, which talked about Henry Kravis from KKR when he bought the National Biscuit Company, Nabisco. They sometimes buy big public companies, take them private, fix them, and then take them public again. And if you have follow-up questions, please let me know. Yeah. Okay. Pulasi, how are you? Great to see you as well. And then Maren, I'm going to open up Zoom in a second. And I see you're there, so I just admitted you. I'll come on live in a second. We'll do the interview. Thank you. Okay. All right. DF wrote, you appear to stay humble through your service to others, like the schools you're building or helping each of us on our journey. No, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And you got to do what you love doing. And I love to teach. And my humble mission is not only to build schools, but also to help my students find their passion. Because as Confucius said, find an occupation you enjoy and you'll never work a day in your life. And so I think of myself as a waiter, okay? And you're my customers. When you go to a restaurant, you look at the whole menu. You don't order everything, but you look at the whole menu. Maybe you order one or two things. And similarly, I want to expose you to all different types of jobs and business functions until you find your passion. Yeah. Okay, and then you wrote, I guess humility comes from what you give the world. Yeah, we are all here to serve others. And in your business, the companies that you all work at, think about your product or service as helping people. And if you think of it that way, it won't feel like work. And a company is only as good as its customer service. That's what Jeff Bezos said. Next up, we have Melody, who goes by How To Vids. Good to see you. Melody wrote, hey, Chris, hope you're having a blessed day. Thank you. Likewise. And thanks for your nice comment on LinkedIn the other day. You wrote, had it been really hot where you are? So right here, it's not too hot here. Yeah, unlike in Toronto, which is 7 degrees Celsius today. You wrote, I told my son the tips you have in your networking book to help him. He said, thanks, Chris, for an awesome book. Thank you. And it was a pleasure meeting your son and your daughter at 4 p.m. on my weekly webcast on October 31st, 2019. Remember that long webcast? I remember that. Yeah. Great to see you. And then Pelosi wrote, Chris, what do you think about having insurance, like health insurance? How do insurance companies make a profit? Yeah. So insurance companies use a lot of data science, machine learning, etc. There's an actuarial science behind it. So what they do is they price these insurance products and they assume that most people are not going to ever cash them in, right? And it's interesting because, and I have health insurance and I recommend doing, especially if you have kids, but don't ever buy stocks from your health insurance company. They'll try to say, hey, invest a little bit more money with us and buy our mutual funds. Don't do that. There's a lot of hidden fees. Yeah. But I think I'm worth more dead than alive. Kind of sad to say. But it's interesting because whenever there's a massive hurricane, people think that insurance companies lose money. They actually make a fortune. Because when a hurricane occurs or a natural disaster, what happens is a lot more people sign up for health insurance products. Yeah. Okay. And then Melody wrote that is so cool. How long did it take you to build? Oh, the Lego thing. I'm thinking of getting the Python course. My son Alex is studying this now. That's his summer activity. Awesome. If you want to take a Python course now, I recommend taking Angela Yu's Python course. Angela Yu. Why you? Search for her on Udemy. She's the best. She's amazing. Yeah. This Lego thing, it took us a couple of days, my son and I. It was fun. Lego is therapeutic, man. I was thinking about that. Like the amount of money I spent on this is it's a bunch, but it's cheaper than going to therapy. I'm not a therapist, but yeah. Anyway, it was therapeutic for me. Okay. And then Melody wrote, Chris, are you planning on making an AI class? Yeah, I've already made one. Yeah. But you don't have to buy it because you're in my MBA program. You're in the gold program from 2 years ago. So just go to the very last lecture in your curriculum and you'll get access to it for free. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Ralph wrote, hey, Chris, how are you? I'm always great. Thanks. Hope you're doing well. You wrote, I want to ask if I can skip semesters 1 and 2 and go to semester 3 in the MBA program to build the business plan. Absolutely. You don't have to watch the entire program in order. Think of it like a menu. Just choose what you're most passionate about. So if you want to jump right to the business plan part of the curriculum, you go directly to E3-1. That's Entrepreneurship Semester 3, Class 1. And we talk about the business plan process in 15 hours in 4 classes, E3-1 through E3-4. Yeah. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back to your questions. Please keep typing them. But I'm going to go now to interview Maren, who graduated from my platinum program a while ago. So let me actually go and set this up. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. We got Maren there. And I'm going to take myself off of mute and give me 1 second. Okay, great. And the way that I have Zoom set up is it always mutes people. It's so annoying. I don't know how to change that, which is why on the back of my keyboard I have this. So, Maren, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
It's perfect. It's perfect. Great to see you.
Great.
So
Good to see you too.
Maren is originally from Kenya. She lives in England now. She works in the pharmacy industry. And what we're going to do together is our next school as part of Project Magoo. We built a school in Rwanda already. We're going to be building a school in Kenya in honor of her mother, who's so proud of her. And it's going to be an all-girls school called the Leah Koros School, right?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes,
excellent.
Leah Koros School.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on this webcast. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Maren has this incredible company called Skin Belle. And she sells these products, and I just got these. Thank you so much. I got all of them that you sent me, and my wife thanks you as well. I'll show all the students here on the webcast your website in a second, and your go-to-market strategy and how you sell this product. And if anybody has questions, please type your questions now. But I guess my first question for you is, what inspired you to start Skin Belle?
Hello, everybody. What inspired me to start Skin Belle was I used to use a lot of just normal cosmetics from the normal companies, and I found out that they were not giving me what I needed. So, for example, I'd use lotions, and the lotions would make my skin very dry. And I thought, why am I paying money to buy products which are not serving the purpose? That was one part of it. And when I grew up, I used to see my mom use locally found ingredients for skincare. And also as a child, I had severe eczema. And one of the treatments of eczema is steroids. And you can't use steroids for long. But we used a locally found herb, and it cured my eczema. And I thought, what a good way to use what I've seen locally found and my knowledge as a pharmacist to create skincare, which solves my problem of having very dry skin and also not wasting a lot of money. And also the benefit of using plant-based skincare is you don't use petroleum products.
Right.
You don't use, there you go. Yeah. So that was what inspired me to start Skin Belle.
That's excellent. It's great. Very cool. And I'm going to go to your website in a second to show how students can purchase your product. Now, I remember when you were first starting this company, you kind of did it as a hobby, and you would go to barbecues and people asked you for the product. Can you share a little bit more details on that?
So I created the products. I'm a pharmacist, so I know how to formulate products. So I created some products, and I initially wanted to give them as Christmas gifts, and I gave to some of my friends as Christmas gifts. And then when we'd go for a barbecue, I'd carry some, and everybody would try it a bit and say, "Oh my days, they're really nice. Why don't you sell them?" At that point, I thought, no. Then I thought, really, why don't I sell them? Because I enjoyed making them. And so I started the process of making it legal to sell it, because there's a process in the UK where you have to make a product legal to be sold. And I started that process. And at the end of it all, I succeeded, got my license, and I'm able to make it.
That is awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Now, let me show everybody your website here. Let me share my desktop. Give me 1 second. Okay. So it's Skin Belle, skinbelleshop.com. Oops, sorry about that. Skinbelleshop.com. Okay, cool. And how did you made this yourself? How did you make this
Yes.
website?
I used Shopify. Thank God, may God bless the woman who created Shopify, because I used Shopify and I bought a template of Shopify, and I created my website. It was nice because I was able just to plug pictures and information and build the website like on a trial mode, and you see it becoming alive. And then once you're happy with it, you get it to be a live website. It didn't take me long. It took me about a weekend.
And are you very?
And I'm not very computer savvy.
That was my next question. That's great. And so Shopify, it's a Canadian company. So Shopify will take care of all of the e-commerce stuff, payment processing.
Yes.
Okay. So and how much does it cost to use Shopify?
At that point, for a year subscription was £260. Depending, there are various options you can buy on Shopify. So you can have a free template or you can have a paid template. I chose the paid template because it's what I wanted.
Right. Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. I love it. That's great.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay. So how has your background as a pharmacist helped you in the skincare industry and to start this company?
As a pharmacist, I've been able, I know the laws requiring making things suitable for human use. And also we go through a very intense course called formulation. So you learn how to formulate medication, creams, whatever it is you need, you have to do the formulation course. Yeah. So I knew how to blend different things to create a product which is suitable for human consumption. So that really has helped me a lot. And also, things like sterility, good manufacturing practice, good clinical practice, all of those have, they've helped me in my journey to create the skincare products.
Awesome. And I love the design too. How did you design this as well?
I got help. I got help from one of my colleagues from the Haroun MBA course. David, thank you very much. We worked together with David.
Awesome.
He helped me. I initially created my designs. Then I gave to David, and I had given them also to my brother, Daniel. Thank you very much. And we all worked out to create a good design for the labels. And it really worked out right because I love it.
Yeah, I love the logo too. It's got an S and a B in it, right? Skin Belle. Very cool.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Nice, nice. And what is the shelf life of these? Like, how long does this last before it expires?
Right. So when you receive it and you open it, the moment you open it and you put your finger on it, you've introduced germs. So it's 12 months from there. Okay.
So I got 12 months. Okay, cool.
Yes. Once you open and you put your finger, it's 12 months. Yes.
Okay. Very cool. Excellent. My wife will love using this as well. Excellent.
Thank you.
So they say that the loneliest place in the world is page 2 of Google search rankings. And it's really difficult to market a company. You've had a lot of success. Why are you successful in selling online? And what advice do you have for people watching this webcast when it comes to selling a product online?
As you said, repurpose your product. Use every social media platform that you've got. I use LinkedIn, which many people don't think you can sell on LinkedIn. Please sell on LinkedIn. I use Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm not yet very good at TikTok. I use every opportunity you have, and also partner with people. So on Instagram, for example, when I go to do a presentation, because I go for markets, just open air markets, and I just have a small stall, and I comment on my the other vendors next to me, and that way we build a community, and so that they're able to promote me and I promote them, and that has really helped me a lot.
So you're helping other people, and this all comes back to this book we talk about, Give and Take. Help others and they'll help you in return. Okay, interesting. Okay, excellent. All right, next question I've got is, What are the biggest challenges that you've faced with building your company?
One of the greatest challenge with skincare products is getting the license. The process of getting the license is quite a rigorous process where you've got to submit all of the papers and make sure that they pass the analysis. Also marketing, getting the name out and the time it takes, and also, as you said earlier on in the talk, keep knocking on the door. Knocking on the door. It will open.
Yes.
And yes, you have to beat down the door for sure.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yes, marketing the process, and you've got learning how to start to market small and eventually growing the marketing skills that you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, how hard is it for you to get a contract with Macy's, for example, or Bloomingdale's, or Harrods, or whatever it is? Like, how would you go about trying to get a contract like that to sell through their distribution channels?
At the moment, I'm trying to get with one of the companies here in the UK. It's called Boots. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Yes, I'm trying to get in. So you've got to get their product team, development team. You've got to get, that is the most important place. To be honest, I used LinkedIn to get in through that. And the only way I was listening to one of the podcasts on LinkedIn. I don't know if you know it, Diary of a CEO. And one of the persons he was interviewing had been in Boots. And I just used that line to go to Boots, and I saw they were looking for new products, and I applied. So for the UK, I know that is the biggest cosmetic company available because it owns both chemists and the cosmetic side. And also to see the increase in the manufacturing. That will be the next stage whereby you need to increase your manufacturing to meet the demand.
Okay, great.
To get a contract with Macy's, I haven't tried the US yet, or if anybody has contracts, please, thank you very much. Send me a LinkedIn and I will well and truly engage with them.
Perfect. And if anybody has advice for Maren, please share your advice or question. And Adrian just wrote that's great, Maren. Congratulations. I echo that as well.
Thank you.
Very cool. So, what is the future of Skin Belle? Like, what are your future opportunities?
It's to broaden my my products, to include hair products, to include other further skincare products. Initially, my target was for people with melanin-rich skin, just because the market was not owning on this very. We are big spenders in the beauty industry, yet there isn't a lot of products. So to hone and create more products for the people of diverse skins.
That's great. Very, very cool. And every single industry has different distribution channels. You know, for example, if you work in the industrial sector, you can use a company called Granger or Fastenal. And the best way to put yourself on the map with any product it is you're selling is to find distribution. So for me, you know, one of my important partners is Udemy, for example. I also work with Rakuten, Stack Commerce, and other companies as well. Distribution is key. Getting access directly to the customer is of paramount importance. What about using Amazon? Have you thought about that?
Yes, I'm in the process of setting up myself on Amazon. So in the next couple of weeks, all my products will be available at Amazon. It's just to get, because it's a skincare product, you have to go through some verification.
Yeah, very cool.
So that's where I'm going through. Yes.
So if anybody watching this webcast has a product or a service or something they want to sell through Amazon, how do they get started?
So you have to submit your product as a business. You have to have yourself as a business, open an Amazon business account. And then depending on what product it is, So mine is a skincare product. They have particular requirements you need to submit to them.
Right.
So your address has to be the same as your company's address.
Yeah.
So, for example, your legal address, so company's house we use in the UK, you have to submit your company's house document and submit the requirements depending on the industry you have.
Right.
And then you submit the pictures, and once they verify that and the payment process, then you're able to be uploaded onto Amazon Business.
And so, like this product, for example, is $12. I think you could probably charge a lot more. But so if you sell this for $12 on Amazon, what percent of the $12 does Amazon get?
I think they take something between. I need to look at this again. I don't want to misquote them. Let me check.
Yeah, just ballpark. Is it?
Let me ballpark it around 10%.
Okay, that's not too bad. Yeah. You think about raising your prices then before you put them on Amazon?
Yes. So depending on which platform you buy, you've got to raise the price. The reason being, just because of Brexit, exporting to Europe is much more expensive than exporting within to the UK, to the US.
Really?
Because of Brexit. Oh yeah, Brexit has created challenges in terms of exporting products to Europe. You have to have a certificate of exportation.
Wow.
So it's not as easy as it was before.
Yeah. Interesting.
So Brexit has brought its own challenges.
Fascinating. I never knew. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Question is from Ted, who wrote, will you be including he wrote, would you be including a dark spot remover in your future product line?
Yes, we are looking at all options, understanding what the problems are, and seeing how, dark spot remover. Yes, please, we shall look at it, because I know what you need for dark spot remover, because I'm a pharmacist.
Right.
So I know how to formulate that for you.
Okay, cool. Now, when you came up with your business plan, what was the hardest thing about writing your business plan?
To be honest, getting yourself sitting down to write the business plan, because and removing every distraction that is that you think is there. So, for example, you need to understand your environment, your business, where you're going into. So, for example, in skincare, who are your competitors? And what do they do, and testing their products so that you can see where you are with them. Are you too high or too low, and getting your price right?
Yeah. Pricing is always tricky, and we're going through that right now with my courses. Like we're in the process of raising prices right now. It's tough though, because you don't want to alienate anybody, but you also want to maximize profit. It's tough. And when it comes to skincare and even online courses, there's perceived value with higher prices. It's a conundrum. It's something that my marketing team is working on right now. We have no easy answers for that. Okay, great. And then how was doing the MBA program, the Haroun MBA program, how did that help you with starting this company?
It gave me gumption. Is that the right word? It gave me gumption to do it. Because I think what I liked about your program, Chris, is that you demystified business for me. You made it in a human way, whereby I did not need to. Business has always been for the very clever people in my mind, and for the very rich. That is the way business is presented. And suddenly I was a person, and I could use the lessons you learned and you taught. So, for example, writing a business plan, you showed the simple step 1, step 2, step 3. And I like the way you showed today the investment Excel product. You've got the same for business plan. And it's very simple. You just answer one question. And as you answer these questions, you're building up your business plan in an easy to understand manner. The other thing I learned is the value of networking. Because as I said, my David from class is the one who created my the logos. I have got Raquel and other team members who are the ones who continuously inspired me. They became my test team. So I sent a few tests to them and they gave me feedback. And when I was slacking, they were like, come on, you need to get on. And what else? It's, the value of networking, the value of a team. These are the lessons which nobody teaches you, but they're critical.
Yeah.
And how to present yourself. I have more and more done more presentation and gone back to my presentation skill and learned how to present myself.
That's awesome. And when it comes to business plans, it's a cliche, but they say failing to plan is planning to fail. And, one of the most important decisions you'll ever make is starting a company. And if it's not done right, it can bankrupt you. It can, hurt you from a health perspective, relationships, et cetera. And so it's really important to write that business plan first. Yeah. Excellent. Great. Okay. Next question is where will the school in Kenya be located?
The school in Kenya will be located in a place called Milelo.
Okay.
That is my hometown.
Okay. Great.
It's in the district, for anyone who understands the geography of Kenya, it's in the district of Narok.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to humbly helping you build this school in honor of your mother. And we've learned a lot also from Vital and I from building our first school in Rwanda. I've made a lot of mistakes, but we've got kind of a best practices document put together, business plan, so to speak, that will help us a lot with this school. Excellent. Okay, great. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on this webcast. If anybody is interested in purchasing products from Maren, please go to this website here. It's skinbelleshop.com. Skin, B-E-L-L-E, shop.com. Excellent. Maren, thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you.
All right, see you soon. Thanks. Bye. Okay, and I want to thank Maren for coming on the call. That was awesome. Okay, let me move on now to the next questions. Next up, Maxwell wrote, "You're a great and highly admirable professional. Please keep it up." No, thank you. I appreciate it. God bless you for that. Thank you. And then earlier on, I asked Catherine about what the Carrington event is, and she mentioned here it was the most intense geomagnetic storm in recorded history. They say if something similar were to happen today, all the technological systems would be in complete disorder. Yeah. And it's unfortunate. It's so sad, man, how many fires we have globally now. Initially it was in Montreal, Quebec, then in Yellowknife, where they had to evacuate the whole city in Canada. Hawaii, of course. Here in California, not too long ago we had it. It's sad. Anybody who thinks that global warming is not an issue is an idiot, in my humble opinion. Yeah, it's sad. Yeah. I think within a decade, it's going to be criminal to pollute or destroy the environment. Yeah. I'm sure legislation will pass along those lines. Okay. Next up, Osman from Ireland. Coming from a construction project management background, any ideas how I could best utilize / transfer my skills and experience for a career in finance? Yeah. So yeah, from an engineering perspective, in the venture capital sector and on Wall Street, we always used to say it's easier for an engineer to learn finance than a finance person to learn engineering. And the great thing about your skill set from a construction and project management perspective is you're used to using templates and procedures, etc. And so it'll be quite easy for you to transition into finance. And I provide you with a lot of templates, tools, etc., process-oriented to help you create your own investment write-ups. But regardless of all that stuff, the most important thing is still networking. Yeah, you can make that career change from project management to finance if you wanted to. Anybody can make a career change, but you cannot just send in your resume because, again, the likelihood of us getting a job by sending in a resume is 1 out of 250, especially when you're trying to change careers. And the person that gets the job usually knows somebody at the company. So what I recommend doing is find people that also work in project management on LinkedIn that made that transition to finance, And find people that have something in common with you as well and set up informational meetings and just ask them, how did you make that transition? Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Wendy. Hey, Wendy. Wendy wrote, hi, Chris. It's Wendy from Minneapolis, but I'm working in Colorado today. Great. Good to see you. You wrote, what are your thoughts on I-bonds? Last year we bought because the rate was 9.68. Now it looks like the rate is down to 4.3%. Yeah, I still think they're a great thing to invest in. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So what you do, as you know, and this is for everybody else in the call, you go to treasurydirect.com, treasurydirect.gov, pardon me. And you cannot buy these from a bank. The only place to buy these from is the United States government, hence treasurydirect.gov. And then so right here, you then click on Series I Savings Bonds. And the rate right now is 4.3%. And the way this works is these are inflation protected. So when you buy these securities, and I think you can buy up to $10,000 worth, and you do pay federal tax on them. They're a great investment, but every May 1st and October 31st, this interest rate changes. So if inflation gets worse between now and October 31st, then this rate will go up. And so this 4.3% rate is just for 6 months. It resets every 6 months. So inflation gets worse by November 1st, then these will go up in value, and vice versa. But you will never lose money on these, even if we're in a deflationary environment. Yeah. So I still think they're good to have in your portfolio. Obviously not as good as they were a year ago when inflation was 100% higher than it is right now. Yeah. It's a low risk part of your portfolio. And a lot of people will ask me, Chris, what part of my portfolio should I put in more riskier assets versus lower risk assets? Well, an old school portfolio management or private wealth management tip is this. You take 100 minus your age. For example, if you're 90, 100 minus 90 is 10. Therefore, 10% of your portfolio should be in riskier investments like growth stocks, and 90% in less risky investments like value stocks or bonds, like these, for example, highly rated bonds. If you're 20 years old, 100 minus 20 is 80. That means 20% of your portfolio should be in lower risk investments like these types of bonds or high dividend yielding stocks, meaning value stocks. And 80% in growth investments, meaning riskier investments, because you have more time to make it back. The reason I say this is old school is because there are people on this call today, many people, that will live to 150. It's true. Okay. All right. Anusha from India, one of my platinum students, wrote, Happy Teacher's Day, Chris. Hope you're well. Likewise. And thank you for that. Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have Dr. Dudert wrote, hey, Chris. Hey. Why don't you suggest taking a loan from a bank to start your business? If you don't, then where do you get the capital to start a business? Yeah, never get a loan ever, please. Because banks are chicken. And if you can't make one payment, they'll take everything. They can at least. Obviously, you want to register your company so you're personally protected. Instead of that, I recommend getting money from high net worth investors and eventually venture capital firms. And what I recommend doing if you want, and I don't want to keep harping upon this, people have criticized me for over-mentioning this, but you can always go to my website to download this networking book to learn more about how to meet with anybody you want to. But what I recommend doing is creating a business plan, which I teach in my MBA program. And as part of that business plan, part of the curriculum, there are 10 slides that are created automatically for you. They're presentation slides. Take that 10-page pitch deck and meet with high net worth investors by networking. And the great thing about meeting with high net worth investors is the sales cycle can be quite short. It can be a couple of weeks long. And if you sell part of your company to high net worth investors, and obviously have a lawyer take care of all the paperwork, but if you sell part of your company to high net worth investors, they own a minority stake. They can't tell you what to do. They can't boss you around and become a thorn in your side in terms of style drifting your business model. Also, you don't have debt to pay back. They just own part of the company. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Trader wrote, "Hey Chris, what do hedge funds think of technical analysis?" I would say the more sophisticated hedge funds look at fundamentals first, valuation second, and a distant third, technical analysis. But they do look at it, especially in terms of sizing positions or entering a new position. You know, the best time to start a new position is when everybody hates it, and the relative strength index indicates it's oversold, like an RSI of 20 or 30. We also look at moving averages, support and resistance levels, and channel formations, ascending triangles, and much more. If you want, you can come up with any stock ticker, tell me the ticker, and I'll do a full technical analysis on it for you in real time, exactly like hedge funds do. Yeah, but again, it's important to look first at fundamentals, first valuation second, and a distant third, technical analysis. Yeah. Okay. And then you wrote, "What do you think about real estate business by using debt?" Yeah, so I do agree with using debt when it comes to real estate. For example, I own a number of buildings in Southern Ontario, Canada, and I have mortgages on them, and I rent them out to students at the University of Western Ontario. But the rent more than offsets the monthly mortgage that I pay. Yeah, so debt can help you in that respect. Yeah, just make sure it's manageable. Yeah, and you can also always set up a real estate company as well, so that you're personally protected. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Manos wrote, "The buzz in the market is BlackRock is filling the spot ETF on Bitcoin, and today Kathy Wood from ARK filed for an Ethereum spot ETF. What are your thoughts, and what does this mean for Ethereum and Bitcoin?" Yeah, so I've publicly disclosed, many years ago, the four cryptocurrencies I own. There's Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Ripple. And so I'm bullish on Bitcoin longer term. It's digital gold, and there's a dearth of supply. There will never be more than 21 million Bitcoins ever created by the year 2140. I love Ethereum because Ethereum is basically a platform. They own the road and they can charge the car, so to speak. And so NFTs and ICOs, meaning new coin offerings, are done usually on the Ethereum platform. So I'm bullish. The only problem I've had with Ethereum is that there's no limit on supply, but I love the platform side of it in general. Yeah, but I would say those are two of the lower risk cryptocurrencies and the ones I talk about most. Yeah, but I would never rely on me or Kathy Wood or anybody when it comes to any investment class, cryptocurrencies, etc. Always do your own research. Always, always, always. Yeah. And I always recommend never having more than 5% of your liquid net worth in cryptocurrencies. And I also recommend not having more than 0.5% of your liquid net worth in any one crypto, because most cryptocurrencies are an absolute scam. And then Manos wrote, "Thank you for everything, my mentor. God bless you all forever and ever. And hopefully Ruby the cat is great." That's my cat. Thank you. See you next week and forever. Thank you. And we have another cat now as well. We have Onyx. My wife named Onyx. And that was a rescue cat. Yeah. My cats love me when it's feeding time only. Then they just don't care about me. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Caroline wrote, I cannot wear lipstick. It dries out my lips. Can you create a lip care product with a bit of color?" And I'll pass that on to Maren. And Maren, if you're still on the call, if you want, you can respond to that as well. Thank you. Okay. Eric wrote, and Eric is from Florida, and he's got, I think, a couple of clean tech startups as well. Eric wrote, "Should Mother Earth have equal rights to humans?" Woo. I think it's highly unethical and sacrilegious even to pollute. It's just my humble thoughts on this. Yeah. But there's a lot of, especially in the Everglades, actually in Florida, in your neck of the woods. I know you're in Sarasota, Northwest. But in the Everglades, there's a lot of protected land as well. And here in California on the West Coast, there's a heck of a lot of protected land as well. Yeah. Next up, we have Nintendo, who wrote, "Hope all is well. Good to see you. How important you think is good email and add copy. Oh, it's crucial. It's crucial. And I have somebody help me with that. Cassandra Cox. She's wonderful. She's my CMO. She's up in Montreal. And a lot of people use ChatGPT for that as well. Less is always more. Yeah. And in my MBA program, I teach you how to do business writing. And a couple of rules. Number one, never have more than 3 sentences in one paragraph. Yeah. And if you're going to write a book or an article, try your best to have each article or chapter even be 600 words max. Less is more. People just don't have time to read those 5,000 word editorial pieces in Vanity Fair, etc. Yeah, not anymore. Yeah, less is more. Yeah, and there's plenty of ChatGPT apps that you can download, like Ralph AI, that will help you with good email copy. Yeah, but the issue is you never ever use ChatGPT to write an entire article for you and then publish it, because from a copyright perspective, we don't really know the rules yet. And I also recommend that students that apply to universities don't use ChatGPT to write your essays, please, because there's software products that can tell the universities if you use ChatGPT or not. Like, for example, my son Andrew, who's at Berkeley now, he's older now, he's in his second year. He said that when they submit papers at university, the professors have software packages to check to see if AI was used. So I'd be really careful with that. And also, when you use AI like ChatGPT, quite often it's confidently wrong. You figure just because it's got beautiful parallel construction and it comes up with an answer quickly, that it's right. More often than not, it is not. And so I recommend using Bing Chat instead of ChatGPT, because Bing Chat is based on ChatGPT, but Bing Chat has all the sources listed, so you can fact check everything. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Marianne wrote, hello, Chris. It's my first time here. Welcome, Marianne. I hope you join us again. And then you wrote, I heard about this in your business plan course. Thank you. Appreciate that. Good to see you. Vicente, how are you? Vicente wrote, hello, dear mentor. Good to see you. And then you've got, I have a really big plan. I've got $1 billion. I need your help, and we'll use some of the proceeds for your school if it kicks off. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so I know you're in my MBA program. I recommend going to E31 through E34, which is the Venture Capital Bootcamp. Yeah. And if you have questions, you can always ask me here on these webcasts as well. Thank you. And then also, we have office hours every Thursday for 2 hours for Gold and Platinum students, from 11:20 until 1:20. And you can always ask questions there, and you can join Zoom even and share your business model if you'd like. Thank you. Okay. Next up, Nitish wrote, I have a 2-year gap after MBA for personal reasons. I feel so scared for a job. Is year gap so worst for a job in MNC? So if you're talking about getting a job at a multinational company, MNC, the best way to do it, as I've talked about before, is just to network like crazy. Make sure that you've got a perfected LinkedIn profile and set up lots of informational meetings through InMails with people that work at these MNCs that you want to work at as well. Yeah. And if you're in my Silver MBA program, you can always share your LinkedIn profile. I can take a look at it every Thursday from 10 to 11 my time. We do a Zoom for Silver MBA students. Or if you're in my Gold and Platinum program, you can also do that every Thursday between 11:20 and 1:20. It's a 2-hour Zoom call. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Enoch wrote, hey, Chris, my name is Enoch Kwame, an international student with a BSc, meaning a Bachelor of Science in Business Analytics. Any advice you can give me? Yeah. So, yeah, I would say that when you're in school, you keep your head down, you get good grades, and, you're proud of yourself. Your teachers are cool to you. Your parents are happy with you and all that stuff. And then you join the business world and you think, if I keep my head down and if I work hard, I'll get noticed and I'll get a raise and a promotion. So you work hard. And then a year or two go by and you look around and you're like, what's happening, man? Other people are getting promoted and raises faster than I am. I don't understand it. Well, the rules are different when you're working. You know, if you want to get a promotion or a raise, you have to ask for it. And there's tactful ways to do it as well. I'm happy to talk about that in more detail if you want me to steer the conversation in that direction. But quite often, what can help you a lot in your career is finding mentors. Find multiple mentors or multiple Yodas, so to speak, at the companies you work at that have something in common with you, and ask them for advice every now and then. Another thing I recommend, and what I'm about to say will help you all tremendously to decrease the chances of being let go if there's ever layoffs. Every 3 months, sit down with your boss behind closed doors and just ask for feedback. You know, please let me know how I'm doing and how I can add more value to the team. And when you ask those questions as well, you can also ask, you know, please let me know what I need to do in order to be considered for a promotion or a raise. And you can phrase it as, if true, you know, I live in the Bay Area and it's really expensive to have kids. I want to provide the best standard of living for my company, and I want to add more value to the company too. So always ask, how am I doing? Yeah. Okay. And then Samuel wrote here, I started using Interactive Broker using a paper account. Good. What is your opinion about that platform? I don't have much experience with that one. What I recommend doing is using Think or Swim if you can. And that's a platform owned by TD Ameritrade, Toronto Dominion, great Canadian company. And the great thing about using Think or Swim is it looks like Bloomberg, like a professional trading system. And also, whenever you log in to Think or Swim, it's a software product you download, you can select paper portfolio or real portfolio. And I think they probably have the best paper portfolio out there as well, especially if you want to consider investing in options. Yeah. And if you're in a country where you can't get access to Think or Swim, you might use a VPN. That might help you get access to it as well. And so the VPN that I use, and which is recommended by my favorite vlogger, which is Marquise Brownlee, I use ExpressVPN on all my devices. Yeah. Especially yesterday when my Toronto Blue Jays were playing here in Oakland, close to where I live, and I couldn't get access to the game on TV, or pardon me, on the MLB app, unless I use my VPN. Yeah. To make it look like I'm coming from New York. Okay. Okay. And then Vicente wrote, God bless you and your family and all your plans. Thank you. Likewise. Likewise. And then you wrote, why Onyx Pokemon? So Onyx, my wife named the cat Onyx because our other cat is called Ruby. I guess just another jewel. Yeah. I didn't know Onyx was a jewel until she mentioned it. Yeah. Okay. But the cat only, because she's a rescue cat, she's a cute little kitten outdoors. Onyx usually responds to when I call him, you're okay. And the reason is forever, Onyx was terrified of us as a rescue cat. And so I would always say, you're okay. You're okay. So that's I guess that's his name too. Okay. Nitish wrote, hello, sir. Chris, please. I'm from India. I have a 2-year gap year for personal reasons. I feel, okay, that's the same question you posted a number of times before, yeah. And if you weren't happy with my answer, or if you have follow-up questions, please let me know, and thank you, yeah. And by the way, if anybody posts an internet link, YouTube strips it out. It's not my call. They just strip it out. I can't see it for some reason, yeah. Okay. Okay. And then Vicente wrote that Enoch, who's on the call here, just had interviews with Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley. Okay, great. Yeah. So regardless of which companies you just interviewed with, I think what's really important is after the interview, as quickly as you can, send a thank you email or a thank you LinkedIn message. And I say as quickly as you can because what happens at big companies like Goldman, where I used to work, is after an employee interviews you, by the end of the day, they usually have to submit a form, paper form, or it can be done over SuccessFactors or an internal system to rate the person that interviewed. And they usually do that at the end of the day before they go home. But if they get an email from you or a LinkedIn message before they fill out that form that, says something nice, it might influence them to, I don't know, be a little bit more positively biased. and in terms of what to write in these messages, I'd always make it simplistic. Subject line, thanks. Contents of the message, John, many thanks for our meeting today, semicolon, I enjoyed our conversation, period. And then you can follow up with something you couldn't answer a question about. In terms of your question on the Carrington event, I did some research, for example, and here are my humble thoughts. Thanks again, comma, your future boss. No, thanks again, Chris. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up, Andras. Hey, Andras wrote, why did you choose finance? What's your favorite and worst experience working at hedge? Okay, you got a bunch of questions here. Yeah. So I chose the finance industry because from a very young age, I invested in stocks. When I was 13, I bought my first stock. It was Maple Leaf Gardens. I lived in Toronto. And I just loved it. I was always fascinated with Wall Street. And the reason why I was fascinated with Wall Street is because companies are going public all the time and you're always learning. When I worked in consulting, I found that I stopped learning. But on Wall Street, you're always learning. Yeah. Yeah, it's just interesting for me. And then you wrote, what's your favorite and worst experience working at hedge funds? Probably the favorite experience is just the intellectual process of building out a financial model, doing your own independent research and coming up with a target price on the company many years in the future. And it was my favorite aspect for me was thinking longer term, because that way you don't have to worry about volatility as much. You tell yourself, I don't know the path, but I know the destination. Now, my least favorite side of it was working with some people that were very short-term focused. Day trading does not work at all, which is why there are no successful day traders. We can't name them because they don't exist. So my favorite moments were when I was thinking longer term, which were my best investment ideas. My least favorite moments was when I worked with certain people, and I'll never name them, that were a little bit too short-term focused. Yeah. And this influenced me actually to get out of the hedge fund industry and go into venture capital, where I was very long-term focused. Yeah. And then I realized I like to teach more than that stuff. Don't do it for the wrong reasons. Like, don't go into finance because of money. You'll never be happy. There are more depressed people on Wall Street than probably any industry because they compare themselves with those that make more. And that's the cancer of Western society. The Dalai Lama wrote this great book I recommend reading or listening to the Audible version of called The Art of Happiness. And he talks about the problem with Western society is we, sacrifice our health, our entire lives to make money. And at the end of our lives, we sacrifice all of our money to maintain our health. And then we look back and we realize we never really lived to begin with. Don't go to Wall Street just because of money. Do it because you love it. Yeah. And if you don't, then get out. Yeah. Okay. Your next question when it comes to finance, hedge funds, etc., is, do you think creative/innovative/entrepreneurial young adults should work at these places? Or that's for different people? Yeah. No, I think if you're entrepreneurial, you should not go work at a hedge fund. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. If you're entrepreneurial, I would probably join a startup initially just to learn, and then start your own company. And it doesn't cost you any money to start your own company. You can do it on the side. You can do a side hustle. And in my MBA degree program, in the third semester, I teach you how to write a business plan. Please don't ever start a company until you write a thorough business plan first. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. And then Andras wrote, all the best from Hungary, Chris. Thank you. Please give advice for a young man who really wants to create and become an entrepreneur. Yeah. Yeah. Don't listen to anybody. Don't let anybody influence you in terms of what you think is a good idea or what is not. Always do your own research, write your own business plan without help from anybody. And just understand that when it comes to being an entrepreneur and in business in general, you only have to be right in business one time. And failure is cool. And most people, at least here on the West Coast in the United States, that are incredibly successful have failed a bunch of times before they were successful. You just don't hear about the failures. You know, Bill Gates, his first business was called Trafo Data, where he was this, you know, those wires on the road, you go over them, ba-bump, ba-bump, and it counts cars. That was his business. It failed. Tons of entrepreneurs' first businesses failed. Just keep trying over and over and over again. You look at J.K. Rowling and any great author. You know, she was rejected by more than 30 publishers. So she failed 30 times. And it was tough for her because God bless her. She was a single mother and she hated her job as an assistant. But she had the chutzpah to keep trying. And on the 31st try, she got that gig. She's a billionaire now because of the Harry Potter product line. The same thing with Agatha Christie and C.S. Lewis and John Grisham, all these authors. The only reason we know about them, the only reason they're successful is because they failed a ton before they were successful. You know, and as Michael Jordan said, I failed over and over again in my career, and that's why I succeed. Failure is cool. Embrace it. Don't fear it. Okay. Okay, and Vicente wrote, for some reason, I don't have access to the Platinum office hours, maybe because, no, you should have access to it when you log in. Just use the same Zoom. Use the same Zoom address that we've used in the past for one-on-ones. Yeah. Okay. And that's always the best time to reach me. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, next question is, and give me 1 second. I unplugged my Alexa, so I'm trying to do a time check up here. Okay. All right, next question is from Nitish, who wrote, what is the most important skill for a finance student for career growth? Yeah. I would say financial modeling. You know, without access to data analytics, you know, when you come up with an investment idea, you have a thesis and nothing more. So I would build out a financial model. And I teach about this in my courses in my MBA program as well. And make sure that you value companies using several different methodologies. You can use price to earnings, price to revenue, and DCF if you want to as well. DCF is my least favorite. But value companies based on your earnings estimates in 5 or 10 years. Yeah. And have a process as well. And earlier on today's call, I showed you that template, which is a great process for you to use in a finance career for valuing a company. Yeah. Also, analyze management teams. Like a lot of times, people will just look at, you know, the financials of a company. But, you know, what makes a great investment is a great founder, a great CEO. So analyze the management team as well. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Maren wrote, I'm at the 2-liter watermark and 7,000 steps. What about you? So for me right now, what time is it now? It's, I'm at about 10 a.m. So I'm a little bit behind schedule. In terms of steps, I had early morning meetings and I didn't walk, but I'll show you anyway. And so every day, as many of you know, I try to get 20,000 steps on this treadmill, which I'll turn on. And I always wear my Apple Watch in my pocket so I can count steps. I'm at 140 today. That's it. It's awful. Yeah. But I recommend everybody get one of these treadmills under your desk. And what you can do also is you can get one of these desks that rise up. And the treadmill's real cheap because there's no bars on the side. Yeah. But I get 20,000 steps a day doing this as well. Yeah. All right, let me just turn this off. Hit button number 1 to make the desk go down again. Okay. Okay, that was a poster that fell down. And a couple of shirts. Just AI shirts. This is what Luca and I are wearing. We're doing a couple of big presentations for big companies. Okay. Keeping it real. Let me get to the next question here. Okay. Next question is from Andras, which is, what do you think about angel investors? Are you one of them? Yeah. I don't really invest in startups much anymore. I still have some legacy venture capital holdings. I like to invest in real estate. Yeah. Yeah. Big in real estate. That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. In terms of angel investors, they're probably my favorite investors if you're starting a company, because, banks, you should not get a loan from a bank to start a company because they're chicken, and they'll take everything. They don't take risks. They'll take everything from you if you miss one payment. Venture capital firms, it can be bureaucratic, and it's like a really long sales cycle. When it comes to angel investors or high net worth investors, the sales cycle is very short. It can be a couple of weeks. And I've raised and managed over $1 billion in my career, humbly. And a lot of the money that I've raised has been from high net worth investors as well. I've gone all over the world to raise money. I went to Dubai and Abu Dhabi, everywhere I've been. And I found that most success I've had is with angel investors, where the sales cycle is quite short. Yeah. The worst thing you can do is, when you're starting a company, the worst thing you can do is set up meetings with pension funds or large organizations to get money from them. And the reason I say it's the worst thing you can do is because you'll get meetings with them and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Look, there's interest. But what we need to understand, and from the mistakes I've made in my career, is that a lot of people that work at these large firms, they have to take, 700 or 800 meetings per year. And so you become a checkbox. You're one of the 3 meetings they had that day. And I remember once I met with Caisse Depot, a big pension fund up in Canada, for my hedge fund years ago. It was supposed to be a 30-minute meeting, and it lasted 3 hours. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And so I went in for the sale at the end. I said, so yeah, I'd love to have you invest. And the answer was, well, Chris, thanks a lot for your time. We're very interested. We'll monitor you for 5 years and then we'll decide. Versus high net worth investors, they can decide on the spot or within a couple of weeks. Yeah. And of course, you always get lawyers involved. Always get lawyers involved whenever there's money. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Carl. Hey, Carl. Carl wrote, the only one that says money isn't happiness are the ones with a lot of money not giving it away. That applies to you too, Chris. Let me think how to respond to that. How do you know I have a lot of money? Maybe I don't. But I would say that, money is the root of all evil. If you go back historically, the basis of many great religions is the 10 Commandments. And one of them is you should not have any false gods. And I challenge you, I say it with love my heart, to find people that have money as their God and let me know, are they really fulfilled in life and really happy? And the best entrepreneurs in the world never did it for the money. If you chase money, you lose your money and your dreams. But if you chase your dreams and you don't give a damn what people think of you, then something wonderful happens. Your dreams come true and the money follows accidentally. It always does. You just got to tell yourself, I don't give a darn what people think of me. Thank you for that question. Okay. And Pranav wrote, we need, and I have nothing but love in my heart for you, Carl. Thank you. Pranav wrote, we need more movie reactions, finance movies like Wall Street. Yeah, I'll start doing that again soon as well. Yeah, thank you, on my YouTube channel. Yeah. Next up, Eric from Florida wrote, do you think commercial real estate will affect single family residents where residential and I don't see part 2 to this question. Yeah. But I'm very bearish on commercial real estate in big cities. Yeah, I think one thing the pandemic taught us is that we don't really need to go into big cities, into these massive office buildings every single day of the week. It's highly illogical. If the internet was invented before cities, would we still have big cities? Probably not. I mean, the whole notion of getting into a car and, driving 1 or 2 hours a day and, to go into an office building, wasting all that time, destroying the environment doesn't really make sense to me. I believe in telecommuting. It's cool to be in the office sometimes, but not every day. It destroys the environment, destroys your health as well. You could be exercising. Also destroys your family life. Yeah. Okay. DF wrote, Chris, I appreciate the wise advice that you offer. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then Maren wrote, what desk is that? So you can get desks like the one I have on Amazon. But there's a company called Jarvis that makes really, really good desks. Jarvis. And what you can do is you can customize these desks as well. Here it is here. Yeah, so there's a company called Fully that makes the Jarvis product line, FULLY.com. And you can build the desks on this website. You can custom make it from scratch. Yeah, and mine is like 8 feet wide. And I thought if I had a big desk that I'd have less clutter. There's just more clutter on my desk. You just can't see it. Yeah. Okay. So Vicente, all you got to do for the platinum call is just use the Zoom link because it's a Zoom call. Yeah. The same address for that you use for the one-on-ones. Yeah. Okay. And DF wrote, what is your view of tax sales in acquiring real estate? Yeah. Yeah. So I have an accountant that takes advantage of all that stuff for me. I don't recommend anybody do their own taxes for your personal use or business, whatever. Get an accountant to do all of that. My accountant finds ways to significantly minimize taxes. Yeah. But it gets complicated for me because I have real estate in Canada as well. And in the United States, you can write off the interest on a mortgage, but not in Canada. But I have accountants that take care of that. Yeah. Okay. And then the last question today is Andras wrote, will you continue reacting to billions, loving those? I will. Yeah. And I am watching the current season. And my plan was to do, after each episode this season, and we've done four episodes of past so far, to do a video. The only problem is there's nothing finance oriented to teach from those videos. Billions has turned into this show that's a little bit more focused on politics and less so on finance. Also, I thought that Bobby Axelrod would be in more videos, or more of the episodes. I just saw him really in the first one. But if there's something finance oriented to teach for a reaction video, then I'll do that. Yeah, but it has to be something I can teach about. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for me to make those reaction videos. Yeah, but I will do more billions ones at some point. Yeah, just not from this season. Unless you talk about finance stuff. Okay, great. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to wrap up the call. If you guys have additional questions, if you're in my silver MBA program, I'll see you at 10 a.m., which is in, I guess, less than 10 minutes. In order to get access to that, what you can do is you go to the first lecture in the silver curriculum. To get the link for the weekly 10 a.m. call, which is Zoom-based as well. If you're in the Platinum MBA program or Gold MBA program, I'll see you at 11:20 today. God bless you all. Please click like and subscribe. Please support Maren by buying products from her store. Her website is skinbelleshop.com. That's skin, B-E-L-L-E, shop.com. Thank you. I'll see you guys all next week. God bless you. Thank you. And I'm going to end this video, this webcast, like I always do every week, with life-changing advice from Silicon Valley based on a video that I licensed from the Silicon Valley Historical Association. Thank you.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it, that's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it. versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.